Coral is in recovery mode. This aerial video shows just how powerful the storm pummeled Cape Coral early Saturday evening. The National Weather Service is officially calling this an EF2 tornado. Its estimated peak wind, 132 miles per hour. The length of the path where it touched down in the southwest section of the Cape is 3.4 miles long. Its width, only 182 yards.
It's just a mess.
Mayor Marnie Sawicki toured the damage today, praising the city's first responders, doing everything in their power to keep people out of danger.
Within minutes, we had roads blocked off, emergency personnel guiding and making sure people were going in the right direction.
At last count, the National Weather Service says 178 structures were damaged, one home completely destroyed. 14 had major damage, and 163 homes had minor damage. Reports indicate more than 100 power poles have been leveled, and too many trees to count have either been uprooted or shredded into splinters.
And thank you for joining us for Fox 4 News at 10. I'm Warren Wright.
And I'm Amy Wegman. The tornado that ripped through southwest Cape Coral last night, leaving a path of destruction behind it. And the brunt of the damage is in the area of Beach Parkway West, right between Chiquita and Sands Boulevard. But effects of the storm can really be seen in several parts of southwest Cape Coral. And that is where we find 4 in Your Corner's Patrick Nolan. He's standing by to give us the latest on the damage there. Patrick?
We are on 15th Terrace in front of one of many piles of debris along this street. But just beyond here, you can see the major concern for homeowners. This is something you'd see after a hurricane or any kind of severe weather. You've got those tarps up there, the blue tarp reminiscent of troubles after Hurricane Charlie, of course. You've got the plywood in the front windows, all the windows blown out on this home. And this is just one example of what's happened here. But this is another problem here. You've got mailboxes all over this street. Torn up grills, you name it. Anything that you would have out in your yard, your lanai, or even maybe the front porch messed up. 1, 2, 3 more mailboxes right here. Of course, all the garbage cans, recycle bins. Some people might be needing this at this point in the process. Dealing with a big mess. Some of this has been dangerous for people. Check out this Kia. These are parts of a car you don't normally see. Look how deep this damage is, torn out through here. We've got some boards that went through there, part of a headlight. And this is just one example in this particular property. We want to keep this in perspective for you. This is not a widespread debris field, as you would call it after a major storm. This is concentrated damage from what happens when you're dealing with a tornado. But it's also very dangerous damage. A flipped SUV here. Along the side here, it says Trend Landscaping. So this is one of the many businesses that relies on Cape Coral to get through. A lot of people here very proud of their homes and very proud of their businesses. Very challenged right now in dealing with things like this. Parts of these roofs torn down, garage doors out with the plywood. Now, city officials have been out here throughout the day assessing the damage, taking a look at what's been going on, and they've made it very clear when you're dealing with something like this, you're not going to be able to get it cleaned up overnight. They want to assure residents, though, they have plenty of officers out on the streets tonight. We've seen some of them for ourselves as we've been in these neighborhoods. They want you to know that people and property will be protected throughout the night, and they want to assure everyone, whether you're a homeowner, a renter in this area, they're going to do their very best. A number of people have their generators going, and we have a warning about that as well. But we want to give you this information right now. If you do not live in the area of Beach Parkway between Chiquita and Sands Boulevard, keep in mind you've got to stay away from this area. Police are checking your ID. They want to make sure that you either own a home or that you rent here. You've got to be able to present that paperwork to them because they definitely don't want to take any chances with who's coming through the community. The early damage bill, and we're talking early on here, is $6 million. $6 million damage bill we're talking on this. And the damage is ranging from severe, and we've shown you some of that, to much lighter in some areas. Keep in mind, a number of generators have been fired up. That's probably one advantage of us going through Hurricane Charlie in 2004. A lot of people are prepared to lose their power, and certainly we're talking at least more than 1,000 tonight still don't have it. I'm standing in one of the dark neighborhoods right now. We just got our TV lights fired up so that you can see what's going on here. Here's the warning officials want you to know when it comes to generators tonight. Carbon monoxide fumes can be deadly. There is no odor. There is no color there. So please don't put that generator inside your home. Don't put it inside your garage. Keep it in a well-ventilated area. At this point, the water is good. We check with city officials. They say there are no boil water notices in effect. But if you come across any downed power lines, please keep in mind, treat it as if it's live. Don't take the chance with that. In fact, we've seen a power pole just sheared off in this yard where we're standing here. And if you have any questions, you can call the city's Citizen Action Center. That phone number for you is 239-574-0425. That's 239-574-0425. Now, Governor Rick Scott has a home in Southwest Florida, a big mansion in Naples. He's in Lee County or Collier County just about every other week, it seems, usually pushing his political agenda. He wants people in Florida to know that he's working to try to get jobs fired up. But today he was here in Cape Coral for another reason, checking out some of that damage. 4 in Your Corner's Adam Pinsker live now with that part of the story. He's off Aqualinda, where he's been seeing some damage as well. Adam?
Yeah, Patrick, I'm not too far away from you, actually. We're at the corner of Beach Parkway and Agua Linda Boulevard, and I want to show you the scope of the damage from last night's tornado. That's an apparatus you see on power lines, and it is a ceramic device. I'm not going to touch it, but it is lodged into the ground here, and if you zoom back out here, you'll see other pieces of that power line that came down last night. That just kind of shows you just really how vicious this storm was. And we're actually going to talk to 2 people now who know firsthand what this tornado was like. I'm going to bring in Susie Meckler and Kurt Charlson. You folks live pretty close to here, right?
We do.
Right down the road.
So last night about this time, what'd you see?
Well, we were driving down the parkway, and the rain was horizontal, and I said, that's tornado weather. And we turned up Aqualinda, and my fiance said,
I saw a black funnel cloud.
it was huge, and the debris was coming right across the road as we were driving up Aqualinda.
There were trees flying, there was pool cages flying, and we were heading right towards it. It was surreal.
Pool cages flying. I mean,
Pieces
that
of the pool cage, yeah. Screen and the white debris.
and you managed to get home without getting hit by any of this stuff.
Yeah. We had a Jeep.
Probably need an armored tank to get through that kind of stuff.
That's
Were you
right.
scared?
No, not at all.
I was petrified, and he told me after that he had both hands on the wheel because he felt the Jeep
We were getting
was gonna
blown around
tip.
a lot. It was pretty windy.
If I told you that they said the tornado was 125 miles per hour winds, would you be surprised?
No.
You've been in Florida 23 years. You've been here just a few months. First time in a tornado?
Yes.
Yes, and I'm shocked because I didn't realize that Florida had tornadoes. I knew about hurricanes, but I've never experienced one, and it felt like I was in Kansas, literally.
Well, we're not in Kansas anymore, but we are trying to clean up from this really bad event. You said last night that this telephone pole wasn't here?
Most of these telephone poles were gone. We walked up and it started to pour rain, and we really couldn't see before everybody got here, but all these poles were down, we found out in the morning.
Like dominoes.
Yeah.
Nobody was hurt in this event, which is the best news.
Yeah.
It sounds like it could have been a lot worse. Do you think?
That's right. Somebody could have crossed these live wires and gotten killed.
Well, all we saw for hours were ambulances going back and forth.
Fire trucks, the whole bit.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, and wish you the safe recovery. Is your home damaged at all from this?
We've got a bunch of debris, some trees down, the cage is torn up a little bit, but
Our fences.
we're better off than a lot of people. We have a roof. Just turn the lights on, Caleb.
All right. Thank you so much. And another member, of course, of the public, a very important person, Governor Rick Scott, was here today. He is meeting with his top advisors to determine exactly how much state and federal money will be needed to recover from this event. And here's what he had to say earlier today. Overturned cars, roofs torn to shreds, trees snapped like matchsticks.
I grew up in the Midwest, and I remember all through school we'd have to go to the basement of the school because we'd have tornado alerts.
Governor Rick Scott recalling some of those childhood moments today as he toured a neighborhood off Chiquita Boulevard and Southwest 17th Avenue, homes ravaged by Saturday night's tornado.
Surprisingly and very, very thankfully, we don't have any reports of any major injuries or any deaths from this.
Although tornadoes in Florida are extremely rare, some have called for tornado sirens to be installed. Governor Scott credits smartphones for saving lives.
You can argue which way is better, but as you know, down here, they did send text my understanding.
Damage to homes is estimated at $5.5 million, but that number may climb to $10 million when you count the number of downed power lines. It is still unknown whether Florida will need federal dollars to recover.
The way it works is we have to hit a certain threshold of damage, and we'll see if there's that much damage or not.
It is hard to put a price tag on the damage suffered by those living in these neighborhoods, although it could have been a lot worse. Now, just to recap, Waste Pro is going to be coming by here tomorrow to pick up a lot of this debris from this storm, but it could take up to 3 weeks before most of this stuff is cleaned up. We told you about it at the top of the show. There is a citizens action line. If you have any questions here in Cape Coral about how to get help regarding roof repairs, trash pickup, that number, 574-0425. We're live in Cape Coral. Adam Pinsker, Fox 4, in your corner.
It's not what's lost that's hard. It's where do we go from here? What do we do?
What do we do? A lot of people asking that. It wasn't until very early this morning that families in Cape Coral could get a really good look at everything they lost. They certainly heard all that mess last night, but they couldn't see it until the sun came up this morning. The reality of what they've lost now settling in with them. 4 in your Corner's Malcolm Johnson speaking with one family who thought they were going to lose everything they owned, and at one point feared they might even lose each other.
The roof got ripped off and is somewhere.
When Tim Slager says his roof is somewhere, he means it's here, across the street, ripped to shreds, surrounding his neighbor's car, which is also destroyed.
It's not what's lost that's hard. It's where do we go from here? What do we do?
Tim knew exactly what to do when the storm picked up.
We grab my wife and my son and we go into the closet.
This closet is where they sought shelter, and he tells me that they said their last goodbyes, not knowing whether they'd make it or not.
When you're hugging your son and your wife and you say, I love you, and you don't know if that's like the last time you're ever gonna say those things. You don't know.
Most rooms in the house are beyond repair. The roof is gone. Water is still pouring in. White insulation covers their belongings. Sheets and blankets ripped from the bed, moved to the bathroom.
And what's next is, you can't stop life, right? Like, life goes on. But, you know, we're going to have to figure out where we're going to stay, so we don't know.
While they survey the damage of everything they've lost, this family feels they've found something greater.
In that moment, you appreciate what you have.
A strengthened bond with each other that no storm can tear apart. Malcolm Johnson, Fox 4, in your corner.
Now, the family says they do not know what they're going to do next. They're reaching out to the Red Cross to see if they can get some help, at least over the next couple of nights, in having a place to stay. More on that in just a second. But just want to show you another example of some of the dangers in this area of Cape Coral right now. This is one of the power poles that got shredded by this tornado. And if you follow it down through, you can see there's more than one break, and that's the case. A number of trees, by the way, just sheared off at the tops as well. Again, if you see any down power poles, power lines, whether they're attached to your house or not, just keep your safe distance from them. Treat everything as if it's live. We have seen a number of utility crews out here tonight doing their level best to get everything fired up, but safety is the #1 priority. Showing you one more vehicle over here that's got the back window blown out. A number of the cars here seem to have taken the brunt of the damage, but we also showed you some roofs taking a few. They've loaded most of their stuff back in there, but it's just been a messy situation for a lot of people. One of the neighbors affected by this, Eddie Tarazi, talking to us live now here on Fox 4 News at 10. What did it sound like?
Oh, it was like a freight train. It just came out of nowhere, and I live about 6 houses down the road here, and it's such a vast difference just a few feet make. These people got completely devastated, but the community really came together today. Salvation Army, Red Cross were out, and everybody really came together, helped each other out, and things went fairly smooth. So nobody was injured, and things worked out as best as they could.
It's amazing how much y'all have already stacked up and got out to the curbs, but how has it been for you emotionally, this process?
It was tough, you know. My son was very emotional about it. You know, my best friend's kids were very. I mean, they were shocked. We weren't prepared for it. Had got 7:15. I got a notice on my phone, and literally 10 seconds later, it was on us, and we ran to the laundry room. You know, the only place where it had no windows, and things were flying all over the place, and you can hear them bashing up. But thank God everyone's safe, and we just pick up the pieces and move on.
We are so grateful. Thank you for speaking with us. We know you're busy. All right, Eddie.
Take care.
All the best to the folks in this neighborhood. We do want to let you know, if you are hard-pressed to find a place to stay right now, the Red Cross has got some information that we want to pass on to you. There's a phone number that you can call. It's 239-278-3401. That's 239-278-3401. There is also a shelter open right now. You can see some of these homes are uninhabitable just by the fact that the plywood's up. The roof is essentially torn off. You're not going to stay in there for your own health. So Faith Presbyterian Church of Cape Coral, it's at 4544 Coronado Parkway. 4544 Coronado Parkway. You can also call the church directly at area code 239-542-2858. That's 239-542-2858. And please, if you know someone who needs this information, perhaps they don't have power, pass it on just as quickly as you can. We've shown you the effects of the tornado, but we also want to explain to you how this thing formed, how it happened so quickly, as you just heard one of the neighbors said. And Derek Beasley, our chief meteorologist for Fox 4, standing by with that part of the story now. Derek?